Today we're in the garage with a shop 2003 SVT Lightning. Typically, we're here with a Lotta, but occasionally our shop truck needs a little bit of work all its own. And we're going to tackle intercooler pump. For those of you who are familiar with Lightnings, this is old hat. But for anyone new, it's a pretty simple system. You've got a Roots supercharger on the top, which creates boost, and with boost, you have heat. So, what we have to do is get rid of that heat. So there's a heater core, essentially, in the bottom, which is a heat exchanger in this system, some plumbing, an electric pump, and finally, a front heat exchanger. And this whole system is filled from this coolant tank, which circulates coolant through the intercooler system to remove heat from your boost charge. Now, a few of the reasons why we want to keep our boost temperatures low is better power, but when you have high heat, what happens is the engine will pull timing. After that, things can get even worse. You'll lose a lot of power, truck will slow down, you'll pull timing, and if it keeps on going on, things will get catastrophic. You can melt spark plugs, you can experience detonation, and you can totally ruin an otherwise perfectly good engine. So, how can you tell if your intercooler system is working efficiently? The best way is to have a gauge like this that gives you both the intake temperature, so that's the air before the blower, and then the charge temperature, or IAT2. That is after the supercharger. Currently, where the truck's been sitting idle, our intake air is 30 degrees and our charge is 50. Both of those are Celsius. However, when this truck is cruising and not in boost, I'm seeing temperature differentials of 35 degrees Celsius. I'll roll in what that is in Fahrenheit for American viewers. That is completely unacceptable temperature differentials. Typically, when not boosting, in cruise, with air going through the intercooler, I expect to see about 25 degrees Celsius or less temperature difference between the intake 1 and the intake 2. So that tells me something's definitely wrong with my system. So one of the other ways, if you don't have a gauge, you can tell that your intercooler system is working, is by carefully removing this cap, despite its warning. If everything's okay, you can remove that, and then take a look down inside. And even though my truck isn't running, if it were, you should see lots of coolant circulating through here. It should be very turbulent, lots of swirl. If you don't have any swirl and the truck is up to temp and you notice things are running sluggishly, you've probably got a problem with your intercooler pump. Whenever you're diagnosing anything, always start simple. So in this case, we're going to check the fuses. You're going to grab the owner's manual. If you don't have one, don't worry, I'll tell you the right fuses. And we're going to look at the underhood fuse box. Now, on page 182, it covers that it is the fuse 106. It's a 20 amp maxi fuse, intercooler pump, supercharged engine only. So, fuse 106 on this large bank is over here in the bottom corner and up one. So we'll take a look under the hood just to verify. The fuse box is located on the driver's side near the air filter on the Lightning. Flip it open. And then consult the manual. That's this fuse right here. So you pull that out and make sure it's good. I know mine is good because I have a set of fans that are attached to my heat exchanger, and they are also wired along with the pump circuit. And the fans run, but the pump does not. So I know that I'm getting electricity down at the connector. And there's another way you can check beyond the fuses. Check for power at the connector. So underneath the truck on the heat exchanger, remove the rear connector from the intercooler pump, grab your digital multimeter, or your analog one if you like, set it to DC volts, and connect the two probes into the female part of the connector. Have the truck running, warmed up at operating temperature, and watch for 12 volts. If you don't have any voltage there whatsoever, you either have a wiring issue, a relay problem, or double check that fuse. Okay, so now we're under the truck. This is the intercooler. These are the fans I was speaking about, and this guy right here with the two coolant hoses is our intercooler pump. This is the connector that you'll remove to check for your 12 volts DC with the multimeter, as I discussed. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove this pump and take it to the bench. Now, there's lots of different ways that you can take a look at this. You can attempt to rebuild or rebrush the pump, but where this one is high mileage and almost 14 years old, we're going to replace it with a brand new unit from Ford Racing. Once the pump brackets are loosened, it's really easy to just slide it out and then use the extra length in your hoses to put it down where you can work on it easily. So what we're going to have to do is crimp these hoses off to prevent coolant loss, then simply undo these and we can take it to the table. This is our new pump. You can see that we have Ford Performance on one side, but hey, Ford Racing still rules the roost, right? M8501M SVT. This is a upgrade for an 0304 Terminator Cobra. This is an OEM fit for the Lightning, as well as OEM fit for the GT500 series. Simple pump, just like the old one. This mount is not for our application. This is GT500 stuff. This is going to come off and slide into the bracket that's still mounted to the truck. As you can see, we have our new pump installed. There's been a little bit of spillage, but not too bad. And our connector is hooked up, and our bracket is all nice and tight. We're ready to go back topside to top up the little bit of coolant we lost and cycle it and see if this thing goes. Gold. Make sure it's the gold stuff. Alright, we've got the engine running. You can hear the intercooler fans are running. Let's take a look. See all that swirl? That's what you're looking for of a good, healthy intercooler system. Okay, so we verified that the system runs. I've started to see the IAT2s come down. Time to put the cap back on, and then take it out for a drive and make sure everything works correctly. Since I'm already wet, due to unfortunate assistant error, we might as well see if this pump will kick over manually. I know every once in a while it would start cycling and then it would just stop, and I'd run around at 50, 60 Celsius IAT2s. No good for boost. Luckily, I have an Optima. This is the green car, which is currently winterized right now. It's also important to know your colors. There's a good chance this is going to spray everywhere, or we may see sparks. And just like that, it's dead. One kick. Now sometimes with electric motors, you can get them running again by tapping on the side of the housing, because sometimes the brushes will stick. And that's something that you can do with electric starters, sometimes alternators, but it's not a permanent fix. It's more of a get you home. And in this case, this isn't getting us anywhere. Using a highly calibrated tapometer, I think this one's about a 3 ounce. Tap on the side. And apply power again. See? So now that I've got a more secure test rig, let's see how long it'll spin. That's a pretty weak sounding pump. But as you've seen before, we did have a dead spot and we did have to tap on it to break it free. Who knows when it'll stick again. But maybe in a later video, I'll get some replacement brushes, we'll tear this unit down and see about freshening it up. So that concludes this video. We've got this pump, as you've seen from the recent bench test, however informal, that doesn't sound like 8 gallons per minute of flow to me. Clapping my hands over either end of the inlet, nothing. I might actually throw it in a bucket of water and see how much it will pump. Measure that, but as I said, we'll tear it down. So that puts the Lightning back into boost mode. You can run around, melt the winter tires off of it, generally impress people. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.